name is Aprille Walker and welcome to the Yoga Ranger Studio. Today's class, we're going to focus entirely on your core. So I want you to keep in mind during this entire practice, and I will remind you several times, that the core is like a canister, three-dimensional. So we think of the core often as just the abdominals in the front, and that's really something we think of as the pretty stuff on the front. Those are not half as important as all the rest of the core. So think of your canister. The bottom of your canister, the bottom of your can, would be your pelvic floor. Those things that hold your organs up at the bottom end. So you have to have that. You have a nice strong lift. So if you just go lift everything up, you feel that activation of the bottom end of the core. The top of your core is your diaphragm, your breath. So in theory, you can really enhance your core by focusing on your breath, really feeling the belly up, chest, collarbones, expanding this belly area first and foremost, because that really helps the diaphragm get stronger and be a strong part of your core. The stuff all the way around the middle, your lower back, some of your lower back muscles, your deeper core muscles in the front that come all the way up and down. We have some ones that go long ways, we have some that go a little bit sideways, and we have some that go a little bit crossways too. Those are really important. The top ones and the very top are the ones we most think of as the 6-pack or 12-pack or whatever that is. But those deeper inner core muscles, once again, you want to focus on pulling in, pulling the belly button in and kind of pulling everything into the center, containing your core. Really important for lower back strength and for lower back pain relief is the side. So your obliques are super important in protecting your lower back and keeping it safe and strong. So we want to work on all of those things today, and we're going to start everything and do almost everything on the floor, which should be a little interesting experience for you. No props needed. We're just going to start on our backs. So as I said, your breath is probably one of the most important things to focus on here. So you're just going to take your feet about hip distance apart, drop the knees together, hands to your belly, kind of spread those fingers wide, and just start to breathe, that 3-part breath. Remember to breathe belly, chest, collarbones. Exhale, collarbones, chest, belly. Now to further that along, spread out to the side. So engage your obliques just a little bit. And feel the breath not just go forward and back toward the floor, but also out to the left and right, your full canister. Take 2 more breaths just with that thought in mind, the full canister of your body, the core, all of it. Bring your knees apart, feet side by side or a little bit hip distance apart. Just some pelvic tilts here. So keep your hands on your belly. You're going to press the lower back into the floor. Keep your hips on the floor. Flatten the lower back and then tilt it away. So cat-cow on the floor. So your hips never leave the floor. You're just tilting the pelvis out and in. This is really great if you have any lower back issues, to really help sort of awaken the core, secure it, become more aware of the entirety of the core. Keep your breath steady and stable here. And do 2 more pelvic tilts. Really press the lower back into the floor and really tilt it far away from the floor. Come back to center. Relax your legs, rock them side to side just a little bit, and find neutral for your spine. And everybody's is different. Some people can slide their hand all the way underneath. Some people can barely stick their fingers underneath. Find neutral for your spine, kind of settle into it. And I want you to remember this position because this is really important to core awareness. Remember where neutral is. Keep neutral during all of these practices, okay? So hands alongside the hips. Find your neutral, okay? You're going to take your right knee 90-degree angle, left knee 90-degree angle. Keep that neutral spine. If this is not possible, you can keep 1 foot on the floor, okay? We're going to do some heel drops here. So you're going to take that Flex toe on the right side, drop the heel down, keep your back neutral. 5 on each side. So you can do 5 on one and then 5 on the other. Now, if you often do core stuff and you feel your core shaking, your body shaking, that is perfectly normal. Don't think that it's because you have a weak core. Everybody shakes when they do core work. It's your core, right? Switch legs. Super slow. Keep that neutral spine. Don't forget that neutral spine first and foremost. Don't forget to breathe. Sometimes when you have that core activity going on, you forget the breath. One more. Then we're going to point the toes. Take the foot out a little further, tap the toe down, bring it back in. We're going to switch back and forth in this one. Keep that neutral spine, keep your breath, move slow. The core responds to a very slow, controlled movement. It's much better than doing 100 sit-ups super fast. It's doing 20 sit-ups really well. Now, if you feel that your thighs are starting to burn or the inside of your legs are starting to burn, remember to focus back on the core. So pull the belly button back, keep the breath, lift up through the pelvic floor. So much stuff to remember, right? Go ahead and bring those knees into the chest, give them a little squeeze. Yay, right? The core responds to a really unique way of working with it. It likes to work and then it likes to relax. If you work it continuously all in one fit, like 100 sit-ups, you'll get some benefit, but not as much as if you had broken those up with some nice stretches or soft relaxation. So let this belly get super soft, the back press to the floor, and then release those knees. Take yourself back to neutral, take your feet straight up toward the ceiling, toes pointed. Now your knees can be bent a little bit or straight. Keep that neutral spine. If you're shaking, remember, this is not a bad thing. Everybody will shake when they do core. I have been doing core for 20 years and I still shake just as much as when I did it at year 1 as I do at year 20. Nice deep breaths, belly, chest, collarbones. One more. Go ahead and bend the knees, drop the feet flat. You're just going to windshield wiper those knees side to side, real gentle. And when I focus on core, I think of focusing on the entire core all the way around, top to bottom, left to right, all the way around 360. You do have some helpers for your core, which would be the inside of your legs, a little bit of your hip flexors and quads, and some of the lower back and glute muscles. Okay, come back to center. Take those knees 90-degree angle back to our neutral spine, okay? So we're going to do a little scissor here. So you're going to take that left leg out straight, right leg up. If this is not possible, you can bend those knees and sort of have a stag scissors. You're going to switch super slow. We're just going to do 5, 3. Don't go further than your spine will allow you or your lower back will. 2. You're like, that was 1. 1 more. Bring the knees into the chest, give them a little squeeze. Maybe circle around to the left and right a few times. Take some nice deep breaths into the belly. Find a little opening there. So back to a 90-degree angle. So I want you to take your hands to your obliques. Engage those obliques, kind of tuck into them. 90-degree angle. You're going to take those heels and take both of them. Now, if you can't come all the way to the floor, that's okay. Go where you can go and come back super slow. 5 of these. Super thoughtful movement. It's so much harder when you go really slow, right? Make sure your obliques are kicking in. Now, we don't normally think of these kinds of core work as obliques, but they are. Last one. Come back to center. Take your hands behind your knees and roll up to a seat. Bring the bottoms of your feet together. Lift up nice and tall and then fold forward. This is for those hip flexors and inner legs that might be getting a little bit angry about this core work. And then come all the way up. Hands behind your knees, feet out in front of you. So a couple of things for this pose, boat pose. You're gonna lift the chest, roll the shoulders back, lift the chin at a little bit of an angle. You can keep your hands behind your knees, lift up. Now your toes may touch the ground, feet may lift up. You may have straight legs or higher legs. Depends entirely on you. Let's stay with those hands behind the knees, lifting the chest, keeping a nice engaged core. So tuck the belly button in, allow the lower back to engage here. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You're going to drop that left leg, hug the right knee into your chest, and then take the left leg out straight along the floor. Keep the chest lifted. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Switch. 5, 4, shoulders back, 3, chin up, 2, and 1. Bottoms of the feet together. Lift and lengthen, fold and relax. I've had a lot of people ask me, how do I get better balance in my body? And balance is based a lot on grounding through your feet and a huge amount of core, because your core shaking is attempting to bring balance and control to your entire body. That's what it does. Inhale back up, hands behind the knees. Back to our boat. I'm gonna have you take the hands off. Take the legs out straighter. Lift the chest up, chin up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take the right leg out to the right a little bit. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Back to center. Left leg out. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring the feet down and come all the way down onto your belly. Thank goodness, right? Belly down. So take your hands and cross them in front of you. You can either lift your head off or you can take your head to the backs of your hands. We're going to do a little bit of work with the back. So on an inhale, you're going to press through your toes. You're going to lift your right leg off the floor. Hip point stays on the floor. Press away from the floor. And reach out through the toes. 5 deep breaths here. Now, if you think this is not core, if you feel yourself shaking, then you will realize this is definitely your core. Reach out through the toes as much as you can. Drop that leg down, rest your forehead in the backs of your hands, rock your hips side to side. And then other side, lift up. Take that left leg out, take the toes as far away from you as possible. Hip point stays on the floor, nice and stable. Shoulders away from the ears, reach out. Now I like to do poses that are asymmetrical like this one, because oftentimes if we do both legs together, we find that one side compensates for the other, and you want strength all the way around equally. It's no good to have a core that's strong on the right side if it's not as strong on the left side. One more deep breath. This is where we get imbalance and lower back pain. Drop that foot down, lower your head down to your hands, take some nice deep breaths. I want you to walk your feet a little bit wider apart, bend your knees, flex your toes. So you're going to flex them just enough where you feel your hamstring kicking in just a little bit, and then lift the knees off the floor. It may not be very far. Once again, lift up. If that's too much for your back, you can rest your head on your hands. Lower down, let the toes fall, shake your hips side to side, take 3 deep breaths. And then a traditional locust pose, hands alongside the hips, palms facing up. You're going to inhale, lift upper and lower body off the ground, stretch out through the fingertips, out through the toes. Look down at the ground, long neck, long spine. One more deep breath. Lift a little bit higher. And then exhale all the way down. Turn your head to the left or to the right. Shake the hips out. And then go and take your arms underneath you for Sphinx Pose. So I'm someone who likes to take my palms together, but if you like your palms flat, that's fine. Elbows underneath the shoulders or slightly in front. You're going to press through the feet, engage the toes, pull yourself forward by kind of leveraging the hands back and lifting the head, heart, and belly toward the front of your mat. Shoulders slide down. This is a really good stretch and lengthening for the core. Relax into this just for a breath or two. Shake your hips out. Bring your elbows back a little bit closer together. You're going to inhale, tuck the belly away from the floor. So pull the belly away from the floor, pull the hips away from the floor. You can come into a kneeling plank or a full forearm plank. One more deep breath. Come down to your knees if you need to. Your next exhale, you're going to bring your knees down, hips, belly, pull forward into a relaxed Sphinx pose. Make your breath rich and full, 3-part breath. Even allowing that belly to expand into the floor. Your next inhale, pull the belly away from the floor, the hips come into kneeling plank or full forearm plank. Tilt the pelvis under just a little bit, lengthen through the spine. Last deep inhale and exhale. You can do this. Knees down, hips, belly, Sphinx pose. Go ahead and roll over onto your right side. You're going to keep that forearm down on the floor, palm flat if that feels good for you. Now I offer a couple of options here. You want to stretch the side body, so lengthen out, kind of take that elbow out a little bit further. Stretch the side. And then you're going to tuck the elbow in just a little bit more, and you're going to lift your hips off the floor. Now round it up. You can take that right hand up and over the head, and then down nice and slow. Lift whatever you can. It doesn't matter how far you get off the floor as long as you get a little lift in the side body. You can feel that left lifting up. And last one. Thank goodness, right? Come down, relax in that Cleopatra's lounge, okay? Don't worry if these are not like you want them to look or feel like. With time, they will be. Have a little patience. We're going to switch to the other side, so I'm going to turn myself around. You can just roll over to the other side. Take those legs out straight or bent. It really doesn't matter. Elbow out a little bit away from you. Stretch that side body, so let it kind of hang down. We had a nice stretch before we start torturing it, right? Have patience with your core. We live in a world where we sit a lot. We're supported by things that don't allow our core to really engage well. Lots of people, I would say probably 95% of the population has a core that needs a little work. Tuck that elbow in a little bit closer. If you need the balancing for that hand in front of you, you can take that out in front of you. Arm up and over, and back alongside, up and over. Lift as high as you can. It doesn't matter how high you get. I admit I was not always here, and I'm okay with that. Down and just stretch that side body. Feels good to get a little stretch there. Now we're going to come into tabletop, but I want to offer some options for those of you with wrist issues. I've tried to keep this a wrist-free practice. So if you are wrist issued, you can take the forearms down here and take a tabletop in forearm, or you can take it in full. Okay, so your choice to make here, forearm or otherwise. You're going to take that right leg back behind you, press through the heel, drop that right hip so that your hips are level, lift up through your core. So you're going to press the mat away from you. So you can actually see that happening when I do it. I lift up and rotate. We're going to take that left hand out to the left, or you can keep the hand on the floor. This is sort of a modified, what my husband refers to as bird dog. This is a bird dog with one hand out. Drop the hand down, drop the knee down. Take a couple of cat-cows. Remember to stretch and soften the core in between each pose. So your core serves so many purposes other than to just keep your back safe and to look pretty and to keep a trim figure. Left leg out back behind you. Find your balance here. Press through the heel, drop the hip, press away from the mat, okay? You don't want to slump into the shoulders, you want to lift away. So think of yourself sort of lifting away from the ground, pressing away from the ground. Right hand goes out to the right or hand on the floor. It doesn't matter here. You're still engaging the core. This is a core pose. The core also serves to hold all of your organs in place, to protect your organs. Remember to keep the core engaged. I find myself sometimes dropping into a little bit of a cow tilt. I need to press away from the floor. The core is something, if you're practicing to build a stronger core, you need to just be very, very aware of what you're doing. Drop the hand and knee down. Cat-cow again. Just one more time. Right leg back behind you. Bend the knee, flex the toes. Press away from the mat. Lift the belly button up toward the ceiling. Take that left hand out in front of you. Palm facing in, thumbs up like you're hitching a ride. Drop that hand down. You can still do this in forearm version of this. Left leg back behind you. Bend the knees, flex the toes. Lift up through the core, round the back a little bit. Right hand goes out in front of you. Press away from the mat. Keep the pelvis tucked under just a tiny bit. Not like a lot, but a little. And you'll find that happy medium. One more breath. Hand down, knee down, take your knees wide, toes together, child's pose. You can rest your head on your hands, allow your belly to soften toward the floor. Come back up to center, find a seat. So you're gonna take that left leg out in front of you, hug that right knee into your chest. Sit up nice and tall. So this is where your core is gonna come in handy. Oftentimes I'll see a lot of kind of rounding and slumping. Pull that belly toward that thigh. Flex your left toes, spread the toes wide, wave hello. I'm gonna have you do an open twist. So take that left hand around behind you, right elbow to the inner knee. You're gonna press the knee into the arm, arm into the knee. A little bit of core twist here. Lengthen and get taller, pull that belly button forward and twist. Come back to center, relax. Take that leg out in front of you. You're gonna switch legs. So once again, don't round here, pull the belly button forward. Imagine you have an invisible string pulling you out toward the toes. Some people use a strap wrapped around their foot and their lower back to sort of help them find this position. If that works for you, you can always try that. Right hand around behind you, left elbow to the knee, lengthen up tall and twist. Come back to center, unwind. One last time, bottoms of the feet together, lift up tall, and then just soften. Come all the way back up to center. Come on to your back. Take one last pose, and most people don't think of really as a core pose, but it sort of is. Walk your heels as close to your hips as possible. Press through the feet, inner and outer. Engage the inner legs as if you have a block between them. Engage the outer legs. Okay, so you've already engaged some of the things that help lift the core. You're gonna press the lower back into the floor and tilt the pelvis towards you. Tuck the shoulder blades underneath, lift into bridge. So you can interlace your fingers underneath here, tuck the shoulder blades underneath, shift a little bit of weight toward the shoulders. Think of stretching the front and back and side body. Rich breath, lifting up toward the ceiling. But the goal is not necessarily to get the hips toward the ceiling, but to get the chest a little bit closer to the chin by bringing the chest to the chin. Release your hands, come all the way down. Walk your feet wide, arms out to the side, just windshield wiper side to side. So if you wonder why you feel warm when you're doing core work, in yoga, your belly, right above your belly button, your core as we often think of it, is the seat of your fire, your Agni, your digestive fire. It's how you digest everything in your world. And so when you activate that, that fire burns a little bit brighter, and especially in the winter when we're feeling really cold, when our Agni is kind of low, firing it up with a little bit of core work is a very healthy thing to do. It will help your digestion immensely. When you get over to the left, go ahead and drop those knees over to the left and just let them hang out there. 3 deep breaths. You can turn and look over your right shoulder. Stretch the obliques on the right side. And come back to center. Softly allow those knees to fall over to the right. Turn and look over the left. 3 deep breaths. If you're feeling cold, doing core work will warm you up very quickly. Or if you're in need of a quick warm up before you do something else, some core work to activate that heating element in you will warm your body much faster. I personally have to admit, I actually like core work. Inhale back to center, but it was not always that way. Take the heels out to the corners of the mat. Take your hands to your belly. Spread the fingers wide. Cover that entire belly area right below your bottom rib, down below your belly button. Breathe into that space. Feel the opening front, back, top, bottom, and sides. Spend some breaths here becoming really aware of what this area feels like. Activated and strong and mobile. I always think of the best cores are the ones like a belly dancer's core or a hula dancer's core. Strong, able to be controlled in amazing ways, very mobile, and supple, allowing it to soften. So for me, the washboard abs are never what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the deeper inner core muscles that are actually quite a bit stronger. We're going to take about 3 breaths here. We're going to inhale deeply. Exhale everything out. And then at the very end, you're going to pull your belly button back towards your back and push that last bit of air out. Inhale deeply. Exhale everything out. Last bit of air. Inhale in. Exhale out. A little bit of air. Relax the core, soften. Feel your belly soften and release all those helpers inside of legs, thighs, hip flexors, glutes and lower back, obliques, everything around that 360-degree core just softening. It's worked hard. It deserves a little rest. Two more deep breaths. And you can actually feel the breath being a little fuller because you've really activated this area and opened it up, making space. Go ahead and bring your knees bent, feet flat. Stretch your arms up overhead and lengthen your spine. Press your lower back into the floor. And then tilt it away. A couple of pelvic tilts here with your arms going up overhead. Just soft movement. And then roll over to your right side. Take a breath or two here. Make your way up to whatever seated position you like best. Nice and warm now. Hands to your heart. Peace and namaste. I hope you enjoyed this practice. I know that a lot of people don't like the word core, the 4-letter word people try to avoid, but it really is something that will help your health, your balance, your strength overall, protect your organs, protect your back, protect your body, and just really help you be healthier and live healthier and safer. It is that thing that when you fall, your core catches you and helps you avoid a major disaster when you trip and fall or run into something. I cannot express enough how important your core, a healthy, strong, supple, flexible, mobile core can be to your entire life. So even though you may not love it, I'm just going to say that I have learned to really like it. I remember hearing the words core and just cringing, but you will build that core. Just work at it. And you don't have to go as deeply or as far as I went today. Work with what you have, where you're at in your body right now here today. and you will get stronger. I promise you. If you like this, like and comment below. Subscribe for more videos every week. I hope to see you again soon, and I hope that you have a stronger, better, brighter core and a beautiful day. Thank you.